everybody, Nancy Hart here, Whole Heart Evolution. It's Wednesday, which is our Mindset Tune-Up Day. And today we're going to talk about something that I think has really been on everybody's minds of late. What is that subject? Hydration. I know. How sexy is hydration? Well, maybe sexier than you think. So let me ask you this. What part of the country are you in right now? Is it hot? Have you been thinking about looking at your water intake? Yeah? Have you been hearing about the importance of hydration and cooling stations? And are you getting phone calls from friends, like I am, that's saying, hey, I'm on the East Coast, you're in Texas, would you take your heat back, please? And to all of our friends in the Pacific Northwest who are just sweltering, boy, are we conscious right now of the physical aspects of what it is to keep our bodies functioning. And one of the key pieces to that is hydration, right? Now, you're probably thinking, hey, Nance, okay, this is hydration. This is kind of a science lesson, and where are you going with this? Well, it's interesting because there was another aspect of hydration that I was introduced to last night. I hadn't really been thinking about, by a colleague of mine in Toastmasters. His name's Cody Patrick. All props to him for this line of thinking and awareness that I wanted to share with you. So we're all really conscious right now of physical hydration, why it's important to keep our organs functioning, our cognitive body functioning, keeping everything in good working order. It affects our mood, it affects our sleep, it affects how we think. Yeah? So we understand the importance of getting good hydration into our bodies. Because, when I looked it up, honest to goodness, particularly in the summertime, we are losing water all the time. On average, we can be losing up to over a gallon, which I believe is, I looked it up, 6 liters? Yeah, 6 liters of water daily. And if you're really active, you're outside, and the temperature has excelled, it can be as much as 4 gallons a day or 15 liters. That's crazy. And we need to be replacing that, yes, with appropriate fluids. What my colleague offered last night was not only the importance, and reiterating the importance of physical hydration, but he challenged us to look at social and emotional hydration. And while we talk about that a lot here, I really hadn't thought about it in quite those terms. And I'd like to offer you, unfortunately I don't have his slides, but I do have the information he presented. And I want you to think about this, because I sure am. A couple of different ways. He was able to give us the positive effects of social and emotional hydration. And he did these beautiful slides, and he put it alongside the physical aspect and what might an emotional or social aspect be, what might be a benefit of that. And I'd like to share a few of those with you now. So water in and of itself, it cleanses body, and when we cleanse ourselves of thoughts that are not useful, we open up space for ourselves. We talk about hydration, physical hydration, increased energy, appropriate energy. That can translate, as he shared it with us, into increased motivation. Could be kind of interesting, right? He talked about cooling the body temperature when we hydrate properly. In the emotional realm, that can be calming, a calming and peaceful attitude. Isn't this powerful? He went on to share 2 more things. In regard to our muscles and joints, we know that staying hydrated physically hydrated keeps our muscles and all of our joints moving properly, firing properly. And the emotional and the social realm, it's about better self-control. Isn't that interesting? And then the cognitive function, how our brains are functioning along. What does it do in our emotional or social realm? It's good decision making. It's good decision making. So what an interesting way to think about hydration. And then he gave us some practical tips, some practical tools of what might that look like for each of us in a given day. And I'd like to give you kind of 4 key pieces he offered us to us last night. Thank you, Cody. I'm very excited about this, as you can tell. And they're about prevention, right? We drink our water, we keep ourselves hydrated to keep our physical body functioning. Here are some things we might consider that he offered last night to help us emotionally and socially, and yet I'd venture even spiritually move forward. And they're like this. He said, consider what you're reading. What kind of information are you ingesting? Would greater hydration in that world be something more inspiring to you? Perhaps it's a piece of literature or poetry or something encouraging that you find that might uplift you. I have Fred, other side. Well, I love that book too. What do you do with an idea? Great way to kind of hydrate and inspire. And Fred Rogers, my superhero, has all kinds of wonderful books and sayings for adults, for kids, that are really uplifting. That might be something you could consider. I certainly am. He suggests that we take time for recreation every day. Get ourselves out in nature. When we talked in our meeting last night about what really rejuvenates all of us, I would say hands down, even though we may not be campers or big hikers or ultra athletes, everybody to a person talked about being outside in some form or fashion. Taking a walk, taking a bike ride, communing with nature, being out there in appropriate temperatures with your pets, that sort of thing. Maybe you're jogging, maybe you're taking pictures, you're out and doing photography, but getting out in real tactile touch with nature, being out in nature, being outside. He also suggested think about music. What kind of music do you listen to music? And if so, what kind of music are you listening to? Music is one of the most poignant ways that we establish our internal mood. I know certainly for me, the music I listen to absolutely shapes the emotional content and how I'm feeling in a moment. Think about yourself in a movie theater or watching something on TV, and the soundtrack of it is what's helping guide your emotions along. Well, Kodia's point was, what if you put music around yourself that really helped you uplift or helped you calm or cool a mood, provided you some peace, provided you some calm? Again, it's awareness, everybody. What kind of music are you listening to? What kinds of sounds are you taking in? And how might you use them? How might I use them in a way that really serves and hydrates us, really helps us emotionally? And then one of the last things he offered to us last night was, he said, avoid things that are pleasing yet unhealthy. And this was really interesting, the category he offered us here last night. He included things like what we're watching on TV. Is it raising our mood? Is it something fun that we're engaging with? Is it something that, even if it's an indulgence, might not be serving us so well in the mood and the space that we're in? Be really mindful of the kind of TV we're ingesting, whether it's fiction or whether it's our news source. Yes? He encouraged us when we're in communication with one another. The word gossip came up. Are we indulging in that sort of thing? And is that something that supports us or drains us? Is it filling us up? Is it hydrating us? Or is it draining us? And is that a behavior that we want to indulge in? Is that good for our health? Yeah. He also noted things, and I think this really goes along to what television is about or movies are about. What are we watching? Are we escaping? And if we're escaping with something that perhaps might be considered violent, when are we doing that, and how are we taking that into our psyches? There are places for everything in our lives, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. But what are we really doing to support ourselves? And I would offer that Kodia's talk last night was particularly poignant as we're looking at this period of time where, particularly at least here in the United States, we are beginning to evolve to come out of what I've talked about before, which is this I don't know if I want to call it a cocoon, but this time of seclusion and coming back out into the world. And how are we showing up in a place where we've navigated pandemic, and now we're coming back into social interaction again? How are we taking good care of ourselves? How are we interacting and taking good care of those across from us? So, ladies and gentlemen, hydration. It's incredibly important in this form And it can also be incredibly important in our social and emotional, and I would say spiritual lives as well. So try some of this on this week. See how these techniques work for you. See if you feel fuller. See if you feel more engaged, more energized, and just in a better place. So have fun with this. Hydrate well. Thank you to Codia Patrick, my colleague, for giving such an inspiring talk last night. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Take care. Have a great one. Hydrate well. I'm going to sign off with a glass of water. Bye for now.